Hey, this is Omero, and this is episode 1 of Omero's journey. In this episode, I want to give a brief introduction to the video series, and I want to talk about personas mainly. Personas and personality. Alright, for the video series, Omero's journey, I kind of just wanted to have a series where I could talk about any sort of ideas that I have in general, so they don't have to be restricted about like a topic or gameplay or anything. They could they just are like general ideas that I have, and some of them sort of show my way of thinking of things, and some of them are just kind of like ideas, and they're not meant to be fully fleshed out or anything, but they're just meant to be like a single entry to an idea. So I might revisit, for example, a topic more than once later on with a video. But yeah, and the main reason why I wanted to make this video series was because I think it was around like the last week of August, first week of September, I realized that sometimes it was kind of difficult for me to show parts of my personality. And this is around the time too where I started to think more about personas and the idea behind like different personas to a single personality. So I guess this will just transition onto the actual topic, which is personas. So I'll start by explaining it, or at least explaining my idea of personas. So for me, what it basically is everyone has their personality, their own personality, and there's like personality traits. There's a combination of things about you, right, that make you who you are. That's like personality as a whole, right? But the idea behind personas is that you take specific personalities, traits, like specific things about your personality, and you combine them in a way to make a persona, to make like a bit of an act. But it's not an act. It's just sort of specific parts of your personality put into one side of you. And so people will have different personas, but they'll have like one personality, right? But basically, we all have like different personas, different sides to us that we show. Like sometimes we act a certain way, and then sometimes depending on the situation, depending on the people we're around, we might act a different way. So for example, when you're around friends, or versus when you're around family, versus when you meet new people, or for example, when you're outside, compared to when you're indoors talking to people online. And then also online with those three categories of like new people, family, friends, like you realize that you start to act differently depending on the situation and depending on who you're with. So for example, for me, when I'm meeting new people, sometimes I'll be super quiet, or sometimes I'll be like the complete opposite. Sometimes I'll talk a lot and try and be hyphy and like try and show a good side to me. But I think most of the time, especially when I'm meeting new people, I'll be mostly quiet. And I'm quiet in general, so like, but it's even worse when I meet new people sometimes. Because for me, it kind of just like takes time for me to get used to the situation, like getting more comfortable around the person, And I think this kind of has to do with me being like more on the observant side, more on the like observant analytical side. So I kind of like a lot of times I just sort of don't like to dive like straight in, I don't like to do things with people right away, but instead I like to sort of analyze things more slowly. But yeah. And I think especially when you think about people, how they act online and then how they act like outside in real life. for a lot of people it's very different. I think for everyone it's different. But for some people there's a huge difference between their online persona and how they are in real life. You know? And for me, it feels like there's like 6 different online personas, 6 different sides to me. And this, for example, is one of them. I'd say this is more like the base form or the base persona, because I think for all the different personas, we all have like a base one that is like the closest one, or the one that mixes parts of our personality the best. The one, there's this one persona that is like the base persona where you try and combine as many personality traits as you have, and then you combine them the best way possible out of all your personas. So like it keeps the most of your personality traits from your personality itself, and then also it combines them well. And some personas are more deliberately crafted than others. Some of them come out more natural and unintentionally, whereas to others it feels like you have more of a say into how the persona is formed, how it's like structured, how it's engineered. Like some of those personas, it feels easy to add things to, add parts of your personality to, or slightly change, whereas to other personas sort of seem to come out more natural. Which isn't necessarily a good thing, but it just means like you have less control over them. They're just sort of formed on their own, and they kind of come out instead of you like having more of a say whether you want to show that persona. It's more like some of the personas kind of come out on their own if the like situation shows up. So for example, for me, I'm trying to think of some examples, but the only thing I can think of right now is like, for example, if I'm feeling some so for example, for me, sometimes if I'm hanging out with like a girl, or if I'm feeling some type of way, like a specific persona will come out, and my voice might get higher than it normally is. Like I might go like up a few octaves, or up and down depending on like if I get hyphy or not. But when I speak more seriously, I think my voice is a lot lower, more like normal. But if I hang out with like a girl, sometimes like it might go really high, and maybe I'll like speak a lot, or maybe I won't. But like the general idea is that one's more like it more like comes out of me rather than me like having more of a say into saying like, okay, I want this to come out. It's more like I'm just talking, and then all of a sudden my voice goes really high, and then everything kind of flows, but within that persona. And the thing is like getting out of it, or trying to show other personality traits that aren't part of that persona, is kind of difficult. And around 3 months ago, I decided that I wanted to like change some of my personas, because I wanted them to like better reflect my actual personality. Another example would be back when I made YouTube videos like 10 years ago, or I don't know how long it was, but like 10, 13 years ago. No, it wasn't that long. It was like 10 years ago. Yeah, it was even shorter, I think, because I think I made some in like 2010 through like 2013. So that's like 7 years ago, 6 to 9 years ago. I'll just average it out. I'll say like 7 years ago. When I made videos back then, like people look back sometimes on those videos, right? Like people that visit my channel nowadays, they'll sometimes go back on my Call of Duty videos, or they'll somehow like have it, they'll be watching one of my videos, or they'll check out my channel, and they'll end up in the like one of the Call of Duty videos. And people will come up to me and they'll be like, wait, where's that, like, Omero? Where's that part of you? What happened? Like, it's literally the main reactions. They'll just watch the videos, and then they'll be like, wait, Omero, like, what happened? Like, why are you so different now? And part of it was that my personality changed, but another big part of it is that I decided like deliberately that I wanted to be like hyphy and kind of like the other YouTube commentators that made Call of Duty videos. I wanted to be hyphy, energetic, and sometimes I ended up repeating myself a lot. Whereas to now, I guess I'm more slower paced, and it might take longer to get a point across, but there's less like repeating myself, I think, than back then. But yeah, the idea is just like a lot of that was me deliberately wanting to act, or deliberately wanting that to be my YouTube persona. And specifically, you could notice it because it was only like a 10-15 minute thing, like being that energetic and talking that much, like it's hard to keep up, I'd say, for like a long period of time, or like a longer period of time. But if you just sort of did it as like a 7, 10, 12 minute thing, like it was definitely doable. And obviously it like worked, and it showed a part of you. Like that was still me, right? That was still a side of me, that was still a part of me, but it wasn't super close to my actual personality. Like I think it was, because back then I was a lot more like energetic and hyphy, and I made a lot more jokes. Maybe I think now I still make more jokes, but I'm more like calm about them, where I'm more like subtle about the jokes I make, and people laugh, but like yeah, I'm just more subtle about when I make jokes. And sometimes too, like I think I mentioned this in episode 2 or 3, I don't remember which one, but I think I mentioned in somewhere in those videos that sometimes I like people tell me, or people get the notion that like I don't know when I'm being funny, or like I don't even know that I'm making people laugh, or that or like they're like, oh, you're really funny without trying to be funny, but like I do try. Like it is like a conscious thing, it's just that I like play it off as like a calm thing, like a subtle thing. But yeah, so I think like that YouTube persona like 7 years ago from those videos, like it's still me, but like it's very crafted, it's very like handcrafted, like by me. And I guess that's one of the examples where you can see like a persona. But yeah, I think just in general, a lot of times I look back on decisions I made like 2-3 months ago, or or in other situations, and I look back and I think of it sort of like a multiple choice type thing. Even in the moment, a lot of times when I'm talking with people, it feels like it's a multiple choice type thing, where I have like 3-4 different ways I can think of handling the situation, or 3 or 4 different things to say, or 3-4 different ways to go about like a discussion, a conversation, or the way I act. And sometimes because I'm so into a persona, I'll end up choosing one of those like multiple choice options, and then later on, like a couple minutes or an hour in a day, I'll look back on it and I'll be like, wait, like if I thought about it a little bit more, or if I was more serious about it, I probably would have chosen another option, a different option. And sometimes like I'll regret stuff like that, and I'll be like, why was I trying to protect this image of myself, And I think overall, like most of the time I'm online in general, the past couple of years, I've been like very protective of like the image that I have, If I have this sort of image of Omero, or whatever online image, whatever online persona you have of yourself, like I was very protective of it. Whereas to now, I think like the past couple months, I care a lot less about having like this protective, perfect, ideal Omero. Because I realized that, for one, it's not very relatable to people. And the second thing is that sometimes people might not take you seriously, because they won't have too many of those like serious conversations with you. And that's not to say that like you have to be serious all the time or anything, because like I think most of the time, like I meme a lot, and I still like joke around and everything, but I think just having more of that real life relatability helps a lot, where it's like you're not just discussing like meaningless things, but you're also incorporating like real life discussions into it, even when you're online. Because obviously, like online, when you play with friends and when you play with people, you try and keep it more like about the game or whatever activity you're doing, whatever game you're playing. You try and just keep it more online. But if you get closer to the person, you can like incorporate more of those real life conversations. I think that's how it is, at least for most people. But yeah. And I think part of the reason why I wanted to talk about personas too and make the whole video series and everything is because sometimes it feels like I think I'm getting close to people, or I think I'm like becoming good friends with them. And I think obviously there's a difference between like becoming good friends with someone and getting close to them. But sometimes I think I might get the two mixed up, where like I'll hang out with them a lot and they'll hang out a lot with me and we'll talk a lot, but I guess the connection isn't like super deep or anything, and we might not talk about super serious things. And so in that sense, it won't be close. And I'm not talking about recently, but like I said, like 2-3 months ago, where I thought I was missing like some of that closeness / relatability factor, where like even if you hang out with them a lot, it doesn't mean like you connect with them well or well enough to be considered like a close type of friendship or relationship between the two people. So yeah, I basically just tried to be less protective of the Omero idea that I have, or that I had like 3 months ago, and that I wanted people to keep having, and I tried to make it like a little bit more relatable, I think. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it for now, because the video is kind of dragging out long, and I still have to edit this thing because there's a lot of like cuts in between or tangents and everything. So I don't know exactly how long it'll be, but I think that'll be it for now for personas, or like today's entry, I guess. Today's Omero's journey entry. Because I'll probably end up revisiting the topic, and I'm pretty sure I will, because I've thought about this whole personas thing a lot, but right now I don't have it like completely formulated in the perfect way that I want to put it. But this is just how I put it, or how I wanted to put it today. So I'll probably come back to this idea later on in a different episode. And yeah, the next 2 episodes are already recorded because I recorded them like a while back, somewhere in September. But I didn't have this introductory video, which I wanted it to be about personas, because I thought that would like be a good segue into the other 2. And I kind of wanted to have these 3 videos as a base for the next videos, which I think the future videos, aside from these 3, will be a lot more lighthearted or like easier to listen to. I'm not sure, but I think the ideas are like less, I don't know, like loaded, like less, they'll be easier to digest, I think, the future ideas are the future topics that I have in mind. And I might right now, I think I'll put up like a notepad or something, a screenshot of the notepad I have with the ideas that I came up with, or the things that I know I want to talk about. It's just I haven't gotten down to record them, but yeah. And the gameplay, there might be like a difference in sync, because I might start off with gameplay that was recorded a while back, but this video is being recorded in, right now it's November 20th, and I don't know when it'll come out, but right now it's November 20th. And yeah, there might be like a slight desync between the gameplay and the voice recording, but it's Minecraft, so it doesn't matter. It's just like free roam Minecraft. It's just to have something to look at. I could have whatever game it is that is like easy to digest, as long as it's something that could keep the viewer entertained. because that's the whole purpose of the gameplay. But yeah, thank you for watching. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Also, wait, I have to clarify, like, I don't, the next two videos, but yeah. And last thing on those next two videos, they're more of like a backstory, so they're meant to be like building blocks, like the baseline for the video series. They're not my favorite ideas to discuss. They're not like, I don't really, personally, I didn't really like the videos too much. The next two episodes, I didn't like them too much, but I thought they would be like a really good foundation for the future videos. But yeah, I just think overall, other episodes aside from these first three might be a little easier to watch, but I'm not sure. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. I might continue streaming on Twitch because I kind of just wanted to get these videos out the way. But yeah, just follow me on Twitch if you want to watch League of Legends gameplay. I might stream sometime. I mean, I will stream, but like I don't know when. So yeah, just hit follow on Twitch if you want to watch League gameplay. And yeah, please rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace. Thank you for watching. Sorry. Alright, yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Please rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.